Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson has officially been switched from an exhibition bout to a professional fight, if you can even call it that. I still have some suspicions on how real this fight is going to actually be, but they have switched it to a real professional fight, meaning that not only was it sanctioned by the Texas Commission, it will also go on both of their professional records. You just look at Mike Tyson's record and you see the absolute legends he's faced, like Larry Holmes, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, and then you see Jake Paul right there, who was acting on Disney not too long ago and has only been boxing for like 5 or 6 years and was watching Blue's Clues and The Wiggles when Mike Tyson was fighting Lennox Lewis. I don't know how they got this fight sanctioned. They did make some rule changes, which I'll get into in a minute. Here were the original rules that they announced a few weeks ago. They're going to use 16-ounce gloves, which usually they use 10 or even 8-ounce gloves. They're literally using gloves you train with and spar with. They're doing 8 2-minute rounds when rounds are usually 3 minutes, and there's no judges to score the fight. There is no winner unless by a knockout, which is hard enough because of how heavy the gloves are. And then each fighter does have to pass an EEG and an EKG, just basically to check if you have a healthy heart and a healthy brain to fight. I don't know how they got this fight sanctioned as a pro bout with these rules. There's no judges. If no one gets knocked out, then there's no winner. How does that work? Would it be a no contest? Would it be a draw? How would it go on both of their professional records? And although they made a few rule changes, to my knowledge, they did not change this. To my knowledge, there are still no judges to score the fight. Here are the new updated rules. The bout is officially a sanctioned professional fight. The results will be recorded on official records. Knockouts are permitted. It's funny they have to include that in the rules. Like I said earlier, a lot of people, including myself, still have questions about how real this fight's going to be, whether it will be more like the Roy Jones Jr. fight, which was more of a glorified spar where they both kind of danced around, exchanged some punches, or whether this will be a legit actual fight where both guys are trying to go out there and knock the other person out, because apparently that's the only way to win. But the fact they had to put knockouts are permitted in the official rules is very interesting. The fight will consist of 8 2-minute rounds, which is still the same. Fighters will wear 14-ounce gloves, no headgear. So they went from 16-ounce gloves to 14-ounce gloves. And I've looked, so there is still no mention of there being judges. There's no mention of this fight being scored. So I'm guessing if this goes to a decision, quote unquote, then it will be a draw, which I think honestly this rule set favors Jake more than it favors Mike. You look at what's Mike's biggest advantage in this fight, it's his experience. You know, he's been boxing for 40, 50 years. He's gone up against some of the greatest of all time. But because there are no judges to score this fight, that gets rid of Mike using his overall boxing experience and boxing knowledge to outbox Jake, which, by the way, for the record, I don't think Mike would outbox Jake. The shorter rounds from 3 minutes to 2 minutes, that might actually favor Mike. Jake's cardio has been looking a lot better in some of his more recent fights. He went 10 rounds pretty easily against Nate Diaz. He went 30 minutes with him, which is almost double what he's doing here against Mike Tyson. And although Mike looks like he's in crazy shape for a guy his age, almost 60 years old, he is almost 60 years old. And as you get older, your cardio gets worse, your conditioning gets worse, your ability to take a punch diminishes. Mike has been boxing for probably over 45 years, and he's probably been hard training for 30 of those. And the more you spar, the more you get punched in the face. Every time you get dropped, every time you get knocked out, your chin gets worse and worse. It's just human anatomy. The more brain damage you take, the more you get hit in the head, the harder it is for you to take a punch. And Mike has been knocked out multiple times before, and he even said it himself like 20 years ago that he didn't think he had it in him anymore.
I would like to continue, but I saw that I was getting beat on. I realized I don't think I have it anymore because I got the ability to stay in shape, but I don't got the fighting guts, I don't think, anymore.
And that was 20 years ago. Now he's 57, 58 by the time this fight happens, almost 30 years out of his prime. And I get it, Jake Paul's not some world beater. He's not an amazing boxer, but for a guy who's only been doing it 5, 6 years, he's pretty good. Plus, he's got 30 years in youth on Mike. He's going to have a better chin. He's probably going to hit harder. I mean, we've seen Jake knock people out with one punch before, not to mention the fact that he said he's 230 pounds now, almost 20 pounds heavier than what he typically fights at, so he's probably going to have even more power. And a 60-year-old Mike Tyson who has been knocked out before and has accumulated so much brain damage throughout his life, there's no way he has the chin to take a clean shot from Jake. I don't think so. He does look pretty good in some of the training videos he's releasing. There's a lot I like, there's a lot I don't like, but I'll probably get more in detail on that as we get closer to this fight. But those are short 15-second training videos that are heavily cut up. How long can he keep that up? Can he get on the inside, put combinations on Jake? Can he do that consistently? My opinion has not changed on this fight. In fact, it has only been more solidified as we've gotten closer and closer. I think Jake does beat Mike. I think Jake does does knock him out, and I think both of these guys do take it seriously, especially now. Now that it's going to go on both of their professional records, I think Jake wants to be the guy that knocks Mike Tyson out, as up as that sounds. Jake wants the fame. He wants the attention that will come with that. And there's no way he's just going to let Mike do well or just not throw punches and have that hole on his record. I don't think so. The truth is, Mike is almost 60 years old. There's no way he has a good enough chin to take a clean shot from Jake anymore. And I don't think he's going to have power like he used to. Whereas Jake is still relatively fresh, seems to have a very good chin, doesn't seem to have taken too much brain damage so far in his career. And with there being 14-ounce gloves instead of the typical 8 to 10-ounce gloves, that's just going to make it even harder for Mike to knock him out. And that's the only way Mike can win, is if he gets the knockout. And as critical as I am and a lot of others are about Jake as a boxer, he still does quite a lot well, especially for someone who's been doing it as little time as he has. And Mike leaves so many holes, man. It's going to be sad. I hope this doesn't happen. I'm rooting for Mike. I will openly say that. I want Mike Tyson to win, but I just don't see it happening. I just hope he comes out of this fight relatively healthy, relatively unscathed, and doesn't suffer lifelong permanent damages. And it actually shocks me just how many people think Mike is going to beat Jake, and their only real argument is always, oh, he's Mike Tyson. Which I get it, Mike Tyson at 27. How old is Jake? Yeah, 27 years old. Obviously, if Mike Tyson was 27 years old and he was going up against Jake right now, he would obviously smoke Jake, knock him out in the first round, wouldn't be close. But this ain't the same guy anymore, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. But anyways, as the end of the video, leave your predictions for this fight in the comments down below. I'm really curious what you guys say. I'm going to get more in-depth on it as it gets closer, so subscribe so you don't miss that. Turn on post notifications, like the video if you did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next one, which is going to be my predictions for UFC 301.